Hey folks, we're excited to have you on with us. This is Hasani and Danielle Pettiford once again. We are the co-founders of Couples Academy. We want to welcome you on our show, Atlanta Live. This is a phenomenal 2-hour experience that will be transformational, and will change your life. Listen, we were talking. As Couples Academy, we often talk to a lot of singles.
Yes.
And one of the issues we deal with is that there are so many qualifiable good men and good women who are still alone.
Yes.
And with so many people, it seems like no one's connecting.
So true. I had my list, and I checked off every single one of them when I met you.
But the problem is, so many people have these lists, and sometimes these lists can get them in trouble.
But you didn't let me finish. I checked a few off because you didn't have it.
What?
Some of the things you didn't have. Like what we do, women, is we have these lists, right? And we're stuck on these lists, and some of the things that are on your list may be just unrealistic or just unnecessary. Every woman wants that 6-foot tall man, right?
Right.
Tall, dark, and handsome.
It's funny because a study was recently conducted, and they actually interviewed a cross-section of women. And according to this poll that was conducted, the majority of the women said that they wanted a man who was 6 feet tall or taller because somehow that represented some form of masculinity to them. But what's interesting about that, only 14% of the entire male population is 6 feet tall or taller.
Exactly.
So you've just wiped out 86% of the entire male population in the United States of America.
Where does that come from? Don't you think that a lot of that plays into what we see on TV and the movies? It's like we think we need to have tall, dark, and handsome because he needs to be like Prince Charming. He's got to have a full, thick head of hair, and that whole Head and Shoulders commercial where you're like, there's no dandruff, the whole thing.
Right.
It's sort of a fantasy, isn't it?
It's funny you mention that because that was the second thing that women wanted. They said that they wanted a man with a full head of hair, but according to statistics, when the average male hits 50, 55% of them have significant hair loss. And so now you've shrunken the dating pool down to 6%.
Yeah.
And guess what the last thing was?
What?
They wanted a man who made $100,000 or more. Well, guess what, folks? Only 10% of the entire male population makes $100,000 or more. So now you're down to 0.6%.
Yeah.
And so when you shrink the dating pool like that, you limit all of your options.
Right.
And so we're encouraging you to step outside of the box.
Yeah, and red flags, did you know that statistics also say that men who are bald actually are looked at as more as strong, superior, influential, and company CEOs love to have a bald man in that position.
So I guess you struck gold.
I sure did.
Because I'm certainly not 6 feet tall or taller.
I sure struck gold. If I take my shoes off, you are.
Well, so folks, listen, we're telling you, you have to learn how to date outside of your box, whatever your type is. Don't limit yourself because there's so much opportunity out there.
Yeah.
And so if it doesn't come in the fashion that you perceive as attractive, you've got to lean your position because some people, their expectations are just too overboard.
Absolutely. I think it's good to have a list. I think that if you have no plan, then you plan to fail, and having a list is good. You want to have something to look forward to and strive for. However, you want to make sure that your list is realistic and just be open-minded. Be open-minded to try new things and go and date somebody that maybe not your typical taste.
You know, when it comes to the list, a lot of times our decisions in terms of who we choose, they're very superficial.
Yeah.
You know, some women have lists that are just so ridiculous that if Jesus Christ himself came back today, he wouldn't even qualify.
Absolutely.
And then some people have no list at all. They have no standard. As long as he has teeth in his mouth, he qualifies.
I know.
And so we're talking about establishing standards and sticking to them, but having some fluidity in terms of who you choose so that you can make a right choice.
Absolutely. So I hope you guys take that tip to heart because it helps Hasani and I. I want to introduce our next guest, a musical guest. His name is Clay Cross. He's going to be singing Saving the World.